Hey everybody, Jeremy here, and in this video I'm going to be making a New York strip steak with potatoes and green beans, mostly inside of the Ninja Foodi. I say mostly because for this recipe we're also going to be using our regular conventional oven. Now I know, blasphemy, we're not supposed to be using this thing, we're only supposed to be using the Ninja Foodi. But trust me, the oven has been loyal. It has been there for us for many years. It will continue to be there for us many years from now. And really the reason why I'm using the oven is because the steak has to cook at a temperature that's different than the potatoes. And I also want to make sure that everything comes together within a pretty tight time frame so that nothing really has to sit back and wait for other things to get done. So you can still do this in your kitchen. The Foodi is still going to be the main thing that we use. So that's it. Without further ado, let me show you how to put together this recipe. So these are the potatoes that I'm going to be using. I got them out of this bag from this company. These are the Boomer Gold Fresh Creamer Potatoes from the Little Potato Company. Got that from Walmart. It's going to cost you around $4 or so. And I really like these potatoes because they are small, you don't have to peel them, and they'll work really, really well with this particular recipe. All I'm going to do with these is I'm going to cut them in half, then I'm going to cut them in half again. So I'm going to quarter these, and I'm going to put these onto a baking tray. Another brand name that you can look for when it comes to potatoes like these are Yukon Gold potatoes. So if you can find Yukon Gold potatoes, go ahead and use those instead. But I really do like these because they're very small. And like I said, they just go very, very well with this. So I'm going to finish cutting these up. Then I'm going to show you what we're going to do to these in the oven. Everything is fairly simple. And really, the only seasoning that we'll use for this particular recipe is going to be salt and pepper. So while you're cutting the potatoes, or before you cut the potatoes, go ahead and preheat your oven to 425 degrees. And once you're all done cutting the potatoes, throw them onto a baking tray like this. I like to put aluminum foil under it just because it's a lot easier to clean up that way. And all we're going to do is take some olive oil, and we're going to drizzle some olive oil over the potatoes. All right. And we are going to season them with some kosher salt and some pepper. So I'm just going to pour some salt into my hand. I always like putting the salt in my hand as opposed to just, putting it all over the food like that. Because, just in case something happens, you don't have to worry about not being able to get all that salt out. All right, so I'm going to hit it with some salt. And now I'm going to hit it with some pepper as well. Once we do all that, I like to get my hands in there and mix them up a bit, make sure that they all were able to get a little bit of that olive oil and the salt and the pepper. So it's going to be nice and slippery in there. All right, awesome. So at this point, we're going to put these inside of the oven. Before we put the steak in here, we're going to preheat the Ninja Foodi. So we're going to close down this lid, and also I have the metal grate in there as well. I'm going to keep that in the higher position. So let's close this down, turn it on, and we're going to hit the broil function, and we're just going to preheat this for about 5 minutes. This is our New York strip steak. This is a USDA choice cut of steak. And for this part, you can do whatever it is that you want to do or what you would normally do to a steak that is to your liking. If you want to put lime juice on here, maybe hours before you get ready to cook it so that that lime juice can break down some of the connective tissue inside so that it can be a little bit more tender, you can do that. If you want to marinate it with some seasoning blend that you came up with yourself and put it in the refrigerator for an entire day, you can do that too. But for this video, I'm going to be keeping it extremely simple. Like I said, the only thing that we are going to be using to season our food is salt and pepper. So I got myself some kosher salt, and I'm just going to liberally put kosher salt all on top of this steak. And I'm also going to give it some pepper. Now this has been sitting out at room temperature for about 15 minutes or so. So it's a little bit warm, but it's a little bit cold at the same time. So I'm going to flip that over, do the same thing on this side, salt and pepper. You know, some people will swear that that's really the only true way to season the steak. Salt and pepper. Got to keep it pure, man. And that's completely fine. You know, I've seasoned steak with salt and pepper, and I've seasoned steak with other things as well. So it's really just up to you how you want to do it. Another thing that I like to do is just kind of mash it on the side, just to kind of try to pick up some of that seasoning that was on the cutting board. All right, so that's all that we need to do with this steak. So the foodie's still got about a minute or so left in the preheating process, so we are going to wait for that to get done, and we are down to 13 minutes with the potatoes. All right, the preheating is done. So now I'm going to lift up this lid, and we are going to refer to the Ninja Foodi cookbook as far as the cooking times go. Now, what it says for this New York strip steak is if you want it to be at medium temperature, then go ahead and cook it for 8 minutes, 4 minutes per side. If you want it to be more well done, go ahead and cook it for 12 minutes, which is 6 minutes on each side. So I'm going to put this on. It's already starting to sizzle. Close it down. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to hit broil. And I'm going to put it at 7 minutes. I don't quite want it to be necessarily medium. I want it to be kind of like medium rare. Let's just try 7 minutes, see what happens. I'm going to come back at around the 3 minute and 50-second mark, and we're going to flip it over. So this is what we're looking like now after 3 minutes and 30 seconds have passed. So what I'm going to do is just flip it over, and we're going to let it go for the remainder 3 minutes and 30 seconds. The steak is now done cooking in the foodie. It has been a full 7 minutes. Let's open this up. You see, that is what we are dealing with right now. So we need to let this rest. So I'm just going to put that down on the cutting board, and I am going to leave it alone. Our potatoes still have about 2 minutes left on them, and that's completely fine. Looks like we're going to be able to make some good time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this here, drop it off in the sink, and now we are going to make the green beans. So turn your foodie back on. Turn it back on. We're going to hit the sear saute function. I'm going to put it on medium-high heat and hit start. Now, we just cooked the steak in this thing, so it's already pretty warm. So our green beans are only going to take maybe around 5 minutes or so. I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil and put that in there. Green beans over in there. And the important thing to do is just to try to keep them moving, because they will scorch if you let them sit there for too long. So what I am going to do right here is I'm going to hit them with a little bit of salt. The oven timer just went off, and I'm also going to hit it with a little bit of pepper as well. Let's keep them moving. Now this is not even a lot of green beans. Maybe I should have added more now that I think about it. But whatever, it's still gonna work. You know what else I'm gonna do with this while we're here? I've got a little bit of minced garlic. Maybe about a teaspoon or so. A little bit more than a teaspoon. I'm gonna put that over in there too. Stir all that up. And like I said, just kind of keep it moving. You want it to still, or at least I want it to still have a little bit of a bite to it. But at the same time, I want it to, still feel like it's been cooked a bit. So yeah, just go ahead, keep that moving. I'm gonna take those potatoes out right now and come right back to this. The steak has been resting for around 10-ish minutes or so, so I think it's about ready to cut into it. So let's do that now. I'm just going to slice off this portion here. So this is what the Ninja Foodi has done with the steak. So you see that color? So it is not mid-rare. So I think that is pretty much like medium. Steak connoisseurs, what do you say? It may be a little bit hard to tell on the camera, but it's a little bit of pink in there, but not too much. Anyway, let's eat it. Wonderful. That's out of focus. I'm so sorry. Let's put this on a plate. There you have it, folks. We have ourselves some potatoes that we baked in the oven, string beans that we cooked inside the Ninja Foodi, and of course, the New York strip steak also cooked inside of the Ninja Foodi. And like I said, it all came together basically within between a 20 and a 25-minute period. The moment that you put those potatoes in the oven, start preheating the Foodi so that you can put your steak in there. After that 5 minutes is done preheating, and then you can go from there. But let's give one of these potatoes a try. They're still nice and hot in the middle. Very soft and very tasty. Now, as for these green beans, they should also still have a bit of a crunch to it. You see, I thought that I cut all these little pointy ends off. I guess I missed one. But anyway, I'll try this one. Still warm, still has the crunch. Growing up, I always had green beans that were very similar to the ones that come out of the can. In fact, most of them did. And those are always soft. But as I've grown older, I've become accustomed to these types of green beans. So this goes really, really good together. I hope that you try it. And in fact, if you want to even just try putting the potatoes in there with the steak, maybe with the potatoes on the bottom and the steak on the top, try that out. Let me know how it works out for you. But this is a great meal to make for yourself, great meal to make for you and one other person. And usually with a lot of my videos, I like to say that it's quick and it's cheap and it's easy. In this case, it is relatively fast. I mean, 20-25 minutes to make dinner is not bad at all. But I wouldn't skew so far as to say that it's cheap, because a New York strip steak, it comes in a pack of 2 in a lot of cases. And that's going to cost you maybe around 10 or 11 bucks. If you don't already have the potatoes and you buy that, that's another 4 or 5 bucks. You want to get the green beans, that's like another $1 or 2. Not what I would call expensive, but the most expensive thing is definitely going to be that steak, that protein. So if you want to splurge maybe and get yourself a USDA choice or even a USDA prime if you're feeling real fancy, cut of meat, go ahead and do that, and you can make this recipe yourself as well. And it's very, very good. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm going to get to eating all of this, or at least most of it. And until next time, I'm Jeremy, and I'll talk to you later.